On July 8th, 2018, the community of East Kilbride was shaken by the loss of Alex Lindsay. The popular and much-loved 18-year-old had taken his own life, leaving behind a wave of grief and highlighting the silent struggles that too many young men face. This is the story of how a community devastated by loss is fighting back against the epidemic of male suicide. One tournament, one conversation, one life at a time.
I was down and I met you. Seemed at the time like a dream come true. Now you've left, your dreams gone bad. What went wrong with the love we had? Should have seen it from the start.
Known affectionately as Parliament City, due to its many roundabouts, East Kilbride, Scotland's first new town, has grown from its post-war roots in 1947 to the sprawling place it is today. But for those who grew up here, it goes beyond that. It is a community with a real heart that comes together when it matters most. No better has this been displayed by Alex's friends and family. In the wake of this unexpected tragedy, they were determined to create a positive legacy in his name. They set up the Alex Lindsay Cup, an annual football tournament, and the charity Adored. I heard from those who knew him best.
We obviously grew up together, next door neighbours and stuff, from like 4 years old till all through primary school and start high school. And like there was kind of 3-4 close pals. He was one of them, and if there was the kind of person that was always going to do something out with the normal, it was going to be him, so we were probably getting in more trouble with him.
Brave boy, genuinely. His go-kart and stuff like that. He would put himself in situations that I couldn't imagine myself. Just likeable, funny guy. Like, it's just his presence. He had a presence around him.
It's laughter, you know. There was always smiles. There was always good times, fun. You know, he was a very joyous person to be around, you know, kind of inflicted a lot of happiness onto people.
Didn't care to go for it, just sums him up. His personality is just
Aye, didn't get monkeys, looking for the winners for you.
He's just a good laugh up for anything.
First word that really comes to mind is probably unique. Every time you talk about experiences you had with him, it's always memorable things that you experienced with him.
He put me through the ringer in the early days, and not much really changed as he grew up. He was fun-loving, he was full of life, he was a cheeky chappy, he was a little devil.
Every time, it's always quite good memories, you know, it's all, so that's kind of what you think of, you get a good laugh, and it's all, there's nothing really negative. It was always dead nice, but it was a good laugh, as I said, just kind of doing things that you wouldn't normally do as a kid, or we didn't think to do. He was always trying to do it, so it's kind of that way.
That was a brick wash record.
Aye, most people, there was somebody that doesn't get on, but Alex seemed to, everybody loved him, but again, it just shows the type of person he was. He was just one of the good guys.
Everything was Alex's way. It was different, and dress and sense of humour.
Aye.
He was always kind of centre of attention, class clown kind of person, do you know what I mean?
Although he could be difficult at times with just pushing the limits, he was extremely kind, he was extremely caring.
While previous editions of the Alex Lindsay Cup have taken place at his former high school, Calder Glen, and at K Park, this is the first year that it will be at a new facility, the EnviroClean Stadium here at Curtin Home Park. A partnership of East Kilbride YM and Youth Club allowed them to turn what was once a derelict piece of land into a state-of-the-art facility with 4G pitch, social club and even a stand. I was keen to find out just a little bit more about how this event came to be, and decided that this year's venue would serve as the perfect place for me to meet up with Jack Smith, the lead organiser of the Alex Lindsay Cup and one of Alex's closest friends.
Alex's biggest interest was football. He was a Motherwell season ticket holder and went to the games every week. So football was like a key topic in his life. So with it being attractive to young men and our friend group, it was the right thing to do, bring everybody together, play football and remember Alex. I think we've raised about £27,000 for adored. The first year the money was raised for another charity, a charity called Beautiful Inside and Out, a mental health charity based in Ayrshire that was chosen by Alex's family. A good relationship with the YM. They've always had at least one team in the tournament from the start. They've helped us out with equipment for previous tournaments, so with the opportunity to come here, we've been a new refurbished venue, everything just made sense, and it's the right thing for us to do. Looking forward to having it here this year and hopefully here on out going forward.
Not only was there a tournament and charity set up in Alex's name, there was also a football team who even went on to win a league title. I spoke with one of the players, Jack Pate.
The whole goal of starting the team was to carry on Alex's memory, do something for a cause. That was relayed throughout the whole time at Bonamy FC. It's Alex's grandfather's surname and a name that we started to call Alex before he passed, so it was fitting to have the name. Red was his colour, so go out and have a successful team in the name of Alex Lindsay basically, and carry on the message that men's mental health should be discussed more and work alongside Adored and have events and obviously the tournament. Proudest moment of my life, ended up romping it in the end. So proudest moment, the message I got from Alex's family, friends, team players, my family, no greater feeling honestly.
The charity, named after Alex's favourite song, I Want to Be Adored by the Stone Roses, led me to speaking with the head of the charity, Alex's mum, Jill Bonamy.
The charity that we set up was to try and find a way to help young men to feel comfortable in some way, whatever way it was possible, to be able to open up and feel freer, to be more vulnerable, I suppose, in order to get the help that was required. I was particularly worried about a lot of the boys, a lot of Alex's friends, after he died, because the outpouring of heartache and sorrow and grief and despair from so many of them worried me. That was really the catalyst for starting up the charity and for feeling that in some way some sort of good or some positivity had to come out of Alex's death. The boys themselves had gone off to Balmaha and they had released balloons, and the music that they played was the Stone Roses because they were clear that that was Alex's choice. It was them that were able to tell me that that was his favourite song and that was the song that they linked with him, and for me having that from them was significant.
What sort of stuff have in the last couple of years, out with the tournament, what sort of stuff have you done for kind of, not just men's mental health, but young people's mental health, and what could we as a society, in your opinion, obviously be doing better?
For me, a big part of where we need to go as a society is all about education. Being a teacher myself, education is very important, and I felt that if we could get into schools and work in some ways in schools and help in schools, then that would perhaps be a good route for the charity to go down. The school that Alex went to, Calder Glen, were particularly supportive of me and my family, so I felt that Calder Glen would be a good place to start. And I spoke with the school to see if they could identify some pupils that they felt that would benefit from some sort of input. They were delighted. In education, they are crying out for help for mental health. Looking at the supports that schools have, they're very limited. The money's very limited there for the supports as well. Waiting lists are huge, so I felt that we could probably do some good work. Since then, we've branched out and we've managed to run the same programme in each of the secondary schools in East Kilbride, and each of them have had very positive feedback each time.
I spoke with Alan Syme of No Limits Coaching. As a life coach here in the town, he works very closely with Adored, and in conjunction with them, he attends all 3 of the high schools in East Kilbride.
Me and Jill work very closely together. She's since got me into a number of schools in East Kilbride where I can go in and help people kind of 3rd, 4th, 5th year that are all kind of getting to the stage of leaving school. And I go in and speak to them about mindset work and a number of different things to try and step them in the right direction when they leave school, to be able to deal with their head, their thinking, make the right decisions, etc. for moving into further education and employment. Making young people aware what trauma is, because when I was certainly young going through school I didn't even know what trauma was, even though I had experienced it. And all trauma is it's like an event that would happen in somebody's life that makes them feel a certain way. So touching on that with the young people, and then more importantly giving them coping strategies to be able to deal with that trauma kind of moving forward into their life. When I was a young guy, we didn't get any of this, you know, so being able to go into schools and do the stuff that I do with young people is a massive part of my life, and it's something that I take a lot of gratitude from, and I'm so grateful for Jill giving me the opportunity to go into schools and do this kind of work, because seeing the young people benefit for the stuff that I'm doing with them is really touches close to my heart.
Alex's story is just one of many. In Scotland, while every suicide is a tragedy, the data reveals a profound and disproportionate crisis affecting men. A staggering 75% of all suicides in the country are male, making it the leading cause of death for men aged 45 and under. The situation among young men is particularly alarming. Their suicide rate is 3 times higher than that of females, but also twice as high as the rate for young men in England and Wales. The gap widens with age, with the rate for men aged 20 to 24 hitting a devastating 14.7 per 100,000 compared to just 3.8 for their female peers. With overall youth rates hitting worrying new peaks, this is a silent public health emergency, with statistics telling a clear and devastating story of loss, especially among Scotland's boys and men. To find out more, I travelled east to the nation's capital to meet Hayley Smith. With over 2 decades' experience in suicide prevention, she is the National Delivery Lead in Suicide Prevention at COSLA, and is working in conjunction with the Scottish Government on a 10-year strategy called Creating Hope Together, which contains a dedicated action plan aimed at bringing down suicide rates in Scotland.
I think the approach that we're taking to delivering it, which is really collaborative, we've got Samaritans leading on work under one of the outcomes, Sam H leading on work across another, Penumbra and Change Mental Health leading on the 3rd one, and Public Health Scotland leading on the 4th one. And then working alongside that, I think we have about 30 people who come every month who are delivering specific actions underneath their action plan from across multiple different organisations. And I think that real sense of collaboration, of sharing our learning, of being able to, I guess, pick each other's brains and get a bit of support in that, I think that's a new way of delivering the work.
How important do you think it is for us to be, in schools? What measures are kind of currently in place, I guess, and could we be doing better, kind of, I guess, under the strategy, how are you addressing that?
School is a place where we have a captive young audience and a real opportunity where they've got positive relationships with staff in those settings to be able to take on board some of the messages about how to look after their mental health and well-being, and what to do if it starts to feel like things aren't okay. It is, I've seen big changes in that over the 20 years. It would be fair to say when I first started in a local area, I was like, let's go and do stuff in schools, and people were like, you can't go in and speak to the kids about suicide. And over time we kind of, through producing the evidence and showing what could work, we then did do a lot of work in schools, and it worked very well.
How does this kind of strategy and the action plan address that kind of stigma around men and young men and their mental health? Yeah.
We've worked with CME, who do a lot around mental health stigma, to really look at what does stigma look like in terms of suicide, and we've brought together I guess, what we've described as trusted organisations. So organisations who are working with people who experience that stigma or discrimination. And that's included specific groups who work with men, fathers, young men, to really build our understanding of what is impacting men that brings them to think about suicide.
How important is it local communities doing their bit and local charities doing their bit?
I think it's vital. Do you know, we've got a national strategy and a national action plan and investment and people working on this at a national level and really good connections into local areas. But it's the work on the ground, I think, that in local communities that really makes a difference.
And so the day of the event is here. As the spectators flood in, the players get warmed up on the pitch, and with the sun shining, it's set to be a cracking day. With 16 teams entered, Duncanrig Villa look to defend their title from last year. EKYM, the home side technically, are looking to etch their name on the trophy for the 4th time. And a first time in tournament history, as there will be a women's squad in She Can.
So I am Alex's aunt, and I established the charity Adored together with my sister, Alex's mum, and one of Alex's friends. Yeah, it's become a real focal point of the charity's purpose, and the annual event is something that really we focus on from a yearly basis.
I think just now with this facility that we've got, I know a lot of the boys at the YM were friends with Alex, so I think it's just good to give back to them now. You know, they can stay here for the full day. They don't need to go to one facility and then somewhere else for a drink and a kind of fundraising after. They can stay here for the full day, and I think it's important that we support causes like this. You know.
The facilities were brilliant, do you know what I mean? Changing rooms, food, drink, the clubhouse afterwards, and then the park itself. It's probably been the best surface that we've used. Quite a lot younger guys playing this year, which is good to see that the up and comings are coming through. Boys as young as 16, 17 playing, and then obviously the 2 female teams as well. That's been a first for us. So hopefully the same next year. Some new fresh faces, younger body, and the mixture between the male and the female teams, it's been definitely different and better this year, I'd say. Yeah, football can divide us, particularly in the west of Scotland. If anybody watched the Cambuslang Rangers and the Celtic Symphony game today, they'll know that. But the good thing about it is guys from both of those teams are sitting in there having a drink just now, and that's what it's all about.
And I think what it's also done is it has provided over the past 7 years a sort of coming together and an outlet for Alex's friends, for those who suffered, because that sort of sudden loss and that tragedy affects people in all sorts of different ways. And I do know I've spoken to some of the boys, and they really do look forward to this day because they know that it's a coming together and that's a shared sort of understanding of who Alex was and just being able to sort of celebrate his life.
This is Balmaha. On the shores of Loch Lomond, it was a place that held a special meaning for Alex, and in the years since his passing, it has become a deeply significant spot for his friends, a place they return to regularly to remember him. Alex's story puts a devastatingly personal face on Scotland's national suicide crisis. In his hometown of East Kilbride, his death tragically was not the first of young men to shake the town, nor was it the last. But in this darkness, there remains glimmers of hope up and down the country, and Alex's friends and family are a perfect example of this. They ignited a powerful legacy of hope through the adored charity in the Alex Lindsay Cup. They challenged the deadly stigma that keeps men silent, contributing to a broader hopeful shift in mental health conversations. It is this fundamental shift in generational attitude, this growing willingness to talk, that will ultimately bring the heartbreaking rates down. Alex's life has become a profound and enduring message to all. It is okay to not be okay, men can talk, and people will listen. To his friends and family and everyone, Alex will always be adored.